How's it going, Song of Ice and Fire fans? Grant from Ye Catch Miniatures bringing you the next episode of our Season 6 changelog. And this time we're going to be looking at Free Folk with my good friend Stephen Slatford, or as his stats handle is, Slatfordicus. How's things going, Steve?
Good. I'm good. I'm excited to play Season 6. Yeah, just ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll go through some basic questions with you, as I do with all of my guests. And for this one time only, I'm going to call you a guest because we're on best manners when we're talking about Free Folk, right? These are the epitome of social domestic happiness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, sweet. So we'll get stuck straight into it then. So when we get the guests in, I always ask a couple of questions about some of the bigger overarching changes in the game. Normally, I'd ask you how you feel that the lack of neutral commanders affects the way that Free Folk are playing, but really doesn't even come into it now, right? Because
Not even slightly.
not even slightly. Are you sad about not being able to use Roose Bolton for the sixth season on the bounce?
I tell you what, it's upset me since day one, so it's never going to stop upsetting me.
Awesome. Well, so obviously we're going to talk about a few other things later on, some other factions, but obviously that change will affect Martels, which is obviously another faction you play. But as far as Free Fight are concerned, doesn't bother us. Don't even care.
Nope, not even slightly. Nope.
Sweet. Okay, cool. The next question I'll ask is about the new rule changes around morale. Obviously, there is such a thing as auto passing and auto fouling now. Do you think that's
Yeah.
going to affect the way that free folk play? Is that going to affect any of your list building choices or the way that interacts with that
Mm,
rule?
I don't think so. I very rarely have I found that I was able to bring anyone's morale like all the way, to a point where they couldn't fail it
Yeah.
or couldn't pass it, I should say. So I don't think that's really going to matter. Um, And the auto pass is, oh, it's auto pass. We always wish for that double one, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, obviously we've been playing quite a while now, and
It's a bit the wrong way around.
yeah, I think that, to be honest, we've always done it as it being an auto pass and auto foul anyway, and just because I think that's what we've come to expect from some of the other game systems we played. But
Yeah, I think it's
um,
a legacy thing, isn't it? We just assumed that that was the case, but no.
yeah, I mean, I still struggle with uh, morale tests. I'm still trying to play Warhammer Fantasy battles with it. I always have to repeat high is good, high is good. Um,
Yep.
cool. Obviously, the third change that will affect us, will affect us slightly, I guess, and there is a little bit of a caveat which we'll go over right at the end, is these extra 4 points now that we can spend on attachments. Again, you're not allowed to spend on neutral attachments, but that's something you've never been really bothered about. So it's
Not
just,
really.
again, I mean, to be fair, mate, season 6 is a hell of a playground for free folk, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's one big change to the extra attachment point that we'll get onto later.
Yeah,
A big change being the key word.
tool change.
But yeah, tall, mighty. Um, but as far as the attachment points goes, it just gives you options. It means that you're not forced to just put attachments into raiders.
Yep,
You can put some of the more interesting attachments in the more elite units
yep.
without being penalised and points. So it does open a few doors of possibilities. I'm quite excited.
So do you feel that as go, obviously you Free Folk Raiders have adaptive, and as you allude to there, you've always had a discount on attachments because of Free Folk Raiders. Do you feel that these changes are going to push you to run a more, and I use the term very loosely here, a more elite Free Folk army where you're not as dependent on Raiders, or does it? How do you think? How does that feel for you? Does it make any difference?
So no, I think the people that enjoy the raider spam, such as it is, will still enjoy raider spam. Yeah, because there was what, two or three 2 point attachments in the army anyway. So ultimately, those people will just still get to play that list. Um, for me myself, I do enjoy a bit of a mix. So it might open up, as you say, to try an elite list. The thing that a lot of free folk players have, I assume, because I do, and therefore I embody all free folk players. Um, I've got more raiders than I have, hot dinners. So really and truly, if I want to run elites, it's one of each type, and I don't know many people that have got a lot of the same lists. But hey, I'd love to see a full Then army
Yeah.
equipped with attachments. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and I think that's
Yeah,
that's the landscape we've got in front of us at the minute is the ability to
yeah.
make these armies in such a way that can happen. Um, cool. Okay. Well, let's get into some of these changes then. So, first up on the screen we have Rattleshirt, Rattleshirt Commander, and the Rattleshirt attachment. We've seen quite a change to this. So obviously, I'll change the cards up on screen now. So the Rattleshirt attachment now has the order spread fear taken away, and they've added fuel by slaughter. Fuel by slaughter
Yeah.
is a really really good special rule. We see it on across many factions. For Targaryens, we see it with Skyhaz. For Stark, we see it with Rickard Karstark. So it's a rule that, and obviously famously on Ramsay Bolton, Ramsay Snow, because he really is an amazing 2-point attachment. So the Rattleshirt, the commander, has removed the order trophy collecting and added trophy collector, and it's also added the order trophy hunter. So I know absolutely nothing about free folk. I'm literally just a vessel, mate, for you to talk to me about
Yep.
what these changes mean. So if you'd like to just go through some of these changes and how you think it changes their play style, and is it a positive change or a negative change? How do you feel about it?
No, that's fine. So I'll start with the attachment version. I mean, spread fear was a good ability, and it really allowed for those panic bombs going off, and especially where they keyed off of horrific visage. So losing that is a bit of a stinger, but replacing it with fuel by slaughter, it really it works in tandem with the Bone Lord's Chosen. So rather than your standard follows a bone, it doesn't really add anything to them beyond fuels by slaughter. But if you chuck this guy in the Bone Lord's Chosen, who have prey on fear, you're then looking at a unit that has got an insane amount of healing.
Mm.
So they can charge into a unit with only one rank and just get extra loads of extra bodies back. So it leans quite heavily into the free folk healing mechanic, which is quite nice. Um, and then intimidating presence, he's always had that. That's great.
Yeah,
Um, so then we look at the Rattleshirt Commander. Now, both having Trophy Collector as an as like a ability that you can't turn off is good. He wouldn't just forget how to do it, which is nice. But Trophy Hunter is really where it gets interesting. So, um, well, the fact that it's when any combat unit activates. I've got a range on it. I don't know if you spotted that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean,
when a combat unit activates, you just get to, you know, search your deck or discard pile and add a card to your hand. Great.
yeah,
And the fact that it's discard pile as well means that, yeah, if you attach one of these cards to one of your units, they die, mostly likely to be raiders. Um, at least gives you a chance to get it back. And anything that gets cards from your discard pile is just great. Um, so yeah, trophy collector. It means that Rattleshirt can be in amongst other units that have got his cards attached to them, and he gets that benefit. Um, I don't know many other commanders that do that. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
no, I think
The only thing is maybe Ghost gets the benefit of Jon Snow's cards
yeah,
in Night's Watch.
yeah. I think that's it. I think it's going to push people to sort of maybe group their units together a bit more to get the benefits
Yeah,
across rail shirts thing. But as you say, I think trophy hunters is a really good rule because where that comes in there, when a unit of bears activates, because we see a lot of times we see free folk stifled by this target infantry, not target a unit. So this is any
yep,
combat unit. So this is the bears
hmm
activate, bosh, you put the weapon trophies on them. You put
yep,
the armor trophies on them, and all of a sudden this unit of bear riders are really really powerful. Um, yeah, I think it's a good change. Like I say I don't really play free, or I've never played folk, but I played against free folk, and it's taken me a little while to reread this card to really get in my head how it works, which gets even more complicated when we look at his new when he's look at his new tactic card revamp, that's
Yep.
not revamp, it's just a tweak, isn't it? But yeah, I
Oh,
think he's
they feel like a bit of a revamp. It's yeah, it's
yeah,
exciting times.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, and what just then when you were talking about panic explosions, which I think is really now the job of the Weeper.
Yep.
Mostly because of one of his tactic cards. We'll get around to that in a bit. But let's look at his attachments. So these are his old attachments on screen now, with the Weeper, the Cruel Tyrant, and the Weeper, Horrific Butcher, which is the obviously the commander. And what we've got
Yep.
here is a change to Grizzly Example, and I'm really a massive fan of this change. So this now becomes um, a hit rather than a wound, which I think is a lot better. Obviously,
Yep.
it's free for your armor save isn't amazing, but at least it's just a hit rather than a wound. I always thought a wound was a um, little bit, little bit pricey for me for a panic token. I know it targets all enemies at short range, but it's still only short range.
Yeah.
Do you think this makes a difference to Weeper?
Well, I think so. It means that you can put him in a unit with thens, um, without just taking a wound on one of your more costly units, one of your important units, and it gives you a 50-50 chance to keep that model alive rather than taking an auto wound. Because you're right, in a unit of raiders, it's a 5 up. He's probably going to die anyway, but it means that you're not being penalised for putting him in an important unit quite as
Mm,
much.
yeah, yeah, cool. Okay. Then next up we have a couple of attachment changes. Um, Here we have the Walrus Clan Chieftain. These are the old cards, and the Chosen of Steer. I don't know how people say it, but I've always called it Steer. What do you call it?
I called it steer.
Steer.
Whether I'm wrong, who knows?
Let's run with Steer.
My model, I call it what I want.
No, I do what I
Call
want.
it Jet before. Yeah,
You were a massive, massive advocate of the Walrus Clan Chieftain. Obviously,
yeah.
we play quite a lot. I've seen you run this in multiple raid units, and he is a pain in the ass. There
When I
is
remember him.
yeah, yeah. Um, and there is a slight change now. So I'll put the new cards up on screen. Um, the Walrus Clan Chieftain has gone down to 1 point. He has lost resilience, which is what really made him pain. The Iron Resolve is sort of it just helps to mitigate the Raider extra wound a little bit and give you a bit more panic defense. But now we've got hardened rather than resilience, and he goes down to 1 point to make an adjustment for that change. And the Chosen of Steer has now got Furious Charge. I always thought that 1 point was a. I know obviously free folk die easily, so go and fight and you'll get payment for. But having Furious Charge now, chuck out that vulnerable token. I think this makes him a much better choice. What do you think of these changes? And are these going to be taken up some places? And whereabouts do you think these guys fit in your army now?
Well, the loss of resilience on a Walrus Clan Chieftain makes me a little bit sad, and nothing made me quite so happy as just screaming resilience across the table at Dan Toon, making his day just the worst. You know.
Nice.
So I'll miss those days. Having hardened is cool.
Hmm.
Um, it's a nice touch. I'm glad they brought it down to 1 point for that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think it's still got uses. The Walrus Clan Chieftain now, um, being 1 point, you could sit him in a unit of like Followers of Bone, be quite nice because then it just makes a unit that a little bit more defensive, a unit that's going to be targeted. It gives you more chances to keep them alive. You know how Harden works.
Yeah.
It's been around since day one, isn't it? It's not because it used to be, mind you, but we can't have everything. And yeah, he's still got Iron Resolve, and I'd say Iron Resolve on its own is almost worth the like just the 1 point putting him in a unit of Raiders. Just
Yeah.
keeps that unit alive that little bit longer, sitting on objective, and nice cheap option.
Yeah.
Um, the Chosen of Steer, that's an interesting move actually, giving him Furious Charge, because you'd imagine go down fighting. Yeah, I would have put him in a unit of Raiders because they're going to die,
Yeah.
and you know that you're going to get to. It's like a budget lash out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's something that you can keep doing, relying on your guys dying. Giving Furious Charge, it again, it's going to push him into some of the more interesting units. Um, so stick him in. He won't really go in Spearwives because they've already got that.
Hmm.
Um, but you could certainly put him into again. I lean back onto them like Followers of Bone. Be quite interesting. Yeah, but stick him in a unit of like Frozen Shore Hunters. It
Hmm.
gives them an interesting, different thing. Um, Cave Dweller Savages is a good idea for that as well because these guys they've got Sandering built in. You know, being able to stick out that vulnerable as well means that they become quite a bit of a can opener if they
Yeah.
can get a good charge on a unit. So yeah, I'd be interested to try them out in quite a lot of things. And Cave Dweller Savages they also die in droves,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
go down fighting on those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
might bring some of those other units back on the table that you don't really see.
I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe they've given them a Furious Charge to give you a bit more of a can opener of a unit. Well, actually, they can opener. You
Mm.
got mag for a can opener, but just to give you something else as an option. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
and like I say, the Frozen Straw Hunters, it means that you're pumping out some more conditions. So as well as the weaken they get as their attack, you're giving a vulnerable.
Yeah,
So yeah, it'd be quite cool.
awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. And so next up, we've got a change that I'm a massive, massive fan of. Massive being the key
Yeah,
word
me
here.
too.
We've got the Mammoth. Obviously, when this first came into the game, it was an absolute plague on the game itself. It was horrific to
It
play
was
against. It was awful. It was extremely good, but it landed at the same time as Dragons, and it really did some damage on the on the
yeah,
game. Um,
yeah.
we've seen many reworks since then. This one on screen being one of them. This is now a change that we're going to look at. So basically, we see another attack dice added to Rampage, and also we get this little bit at the bottom where it says, when charging, this unit may reroll any charge distance dice. So um, both positive changes for a Mammoth. We don't see them too much on the table, but how do you think this affects the War Mammoth, and if are we going to see more of this on the tabletop now as a result of these changes?
I think so. I mean, it hasn't changed in points value. Um, an extra dice is always welcome, and just being able to reroll charges. I mean, he's movement 6 anyway,
Mm,
so just it makes it into a bit of a missile
yeah,
that you can really throw down the field. Um, be interesting to see how this fits into the mag list.
yeah,
Um, although most of Mag's cards play off of giants, there is like monsters of the north. This is still a monster.
yeah,
Um, so it'd be interesting to see him in there. But also, it looks cool on the table. It just looks great on the table. At like Battle of Three Swords a couple of weeks ago,
yeah,
someone brought a mammoth. I don't believe it did that well, um, but it looked great.
yeah,
It looked great on the table. It's just like cool. What a lovely model. I'd love to see more of these, and hopefully this change does exactly that. I, for one, have already started writing army lists with mammoths in, just because I just want to give it a go.
yeah. So are you writing lists with the Mammoth in mag lists, or just in lists in general?
I have got a mag list which has a mammoth in it now.
Yeah,
Um, I think we'll wait to the mag section, and
the
I'll tell you
magazine.
all about it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's really nice changes for Mammoth. I think I do hope we see it more. Brian McGonigal plays them quite regularly, so hopefully people will follow suit. Um, next up, we have got the tactic card changes. Now, I am completely at a loss on these, mate. I don't know what they do.
Yeah,
We have obviously the remorse example. We know this change because it's been changed in other factions that we've already covered. Covered it with James last night with Targaryens and War of Strength. So these are the old cards. I'll put the new cards on the screen now. I'll go with one that I can go over. So we know that remorseless example has been removed from the game.
yep,
Um, and it's been replaced with bloody beheading. So when we talk about panic explosions, this is how I sort of see what a panic explosion looks like. And it's obviously been given to the Weeper.
yeah,
He's more of a panic-driven commander, and it's really, really nice. So it now It's on screen. You can read it yourself. But it basically, it's if after a friendly unit completes a melee attack, if this attack destroys an enemy rank, each enemy, including the enemy that's been attacked, in long range becomes panicked. If they were already panicked, they suffer a panic test. If this attack destroys the enemy, instead, each enemy in long range becomes panicked and they suffer one panic test. So you want to talk
Yep.
about panic explosions? This is your man now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you say, it's changed as a like across the game. Um, but yeah, there's potential for making someone take like more than one panic test from a single attack, which is all sorts of fun. Um, I'll just bring it back slightly to this is where the mammoth could also come in, because the mammoth, before we roll an attack dice, the defender becomes panicked, so it means you can have those layers of panics on.
Yeah.
Um, so building those combos, that's what the game's all about. It's setting up for that big hit, isn't it? Quite often, and if you can get those tokens out, you do grisly examples, make everything panicked, and then you just wipe out a rank, and all of those units in short range have got to take a panic test. It's like that's a lot of dice rolling for your opponent. And one thing I learned a long time ago playing war games is you force your opponent to roll as many dice as possible, because
Yeah.
they're going to roll some ones.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
And the water strength. I don't really know how this has changed. You have to go through it in more detail for me.
it's changed quite a bit. It's changed quite a bit, this one. So water strength, what it used to be is it gave you a +1 to hit, which is always cool, always welcome. This is a bit of a weird one for me, I will confess, because calling it walrus strength now um, is a bit of a misnomer, because there's nothing in there that implies strength, for one.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just my personal view on it. It's the fact that you're attaching to the end of the game, so there's cards like that, battle scars, that do the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, and when you activate, you restore a wound. Okay, cool, nice. Um, how many times that's going to come up, you don't know, because if you get this out in round 4, you're only going to get 2 wounds out of it.
Yeah.
And then, but anything that allows you to remove condition tokens is quite nice. This I feel is a little bit of a nerf.
Hmm.
Maybe the +1 to hit was too much. When you consider that you can put this, you could put, the Great Walrus in any unit, and it makes them frozen shore. And if you do some clever stuff with, moving attachments around, you can end up with this guy in the Bone Lord's Chosen.
Yeah.
Bone Lord's Chosen hitting on 2s is maybe that was it. Maybe that was the thing that was a bit too much.
Yeah.
But it's all right. It's interesting. It's more healing for free folk. That's what they needed.
Yeah. Of course. Um.
Not disappointed.
No. 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 It's. I think it's right. I think potentially. Also, it's just that they're trying to find. It looks like the game's trying to push through less damage around attack. So maybe reducing the hit rolls is maybe part of that. Perhaps I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
And it doesn't restrict it to a frozen shore unit to get the benefit of it as well.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
um, the like his other cards do that. So, yeah, that's okay. Interesting. It will be interesting, that one. He's a commander I haven't played since LGT, like 2 years ago, I think. So it's definitely something that's worth putting on the table for another try.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think that's what
Mm.
this season is really pushing is the trying stuff out and seeing what attachments work and what commanders work. It should be quite nice to see some old stuff out and about again. Um,
Yep.
cool. Okay. Next up is Rattleshirt's entire deck.
It's almost the whole card has changed, right?
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, you crack on. Tell me.
Yeah. Well, it's the trigger is the key here. The trigger used to be after a friendly unit completes a melee attack if it destroyed an enemy rank.
Yeah.
Now the new one is after a friendly unit completes a melee attack if the defender suffered any wounds.
Okay. Really, so it's easy to click them off then.
It's very easy to click them off. Um, and then individually, like bloody trophies there. It's the same. The wording's changed around a little bit, just to make it clearer, which is fine. I'm always on board with that.
Yeah.
Um, but the extra text, the paragraph at the bottom, which is the same across all three of these cards. The once per turn after attaching Rattleshirt's Commander Tactics card, you may also play one Rattleshirt Commander Tactics card from your hand, ignoring the usual trigger. You were always able to do this, but you could only do it once per round because it was Rattleshirt's order.
Yeah.
So it means that you are getting these cards out. These cards are going to get out, and once one goes out, they're going out quick.
Yeah.
And if you imagine it's Rattleshirt's unit that does a wound to an enemy, he gets to put one of these cards on one unit in short range. He could put another one on himself if he's got one in his hand, or he could put it on another unit in short range,
Yeah.
and he gets the benefit of both of those cards.
Yeah.
So this is
Right.
where I am very, very keen to try this commander out. He's a commander that you did not see, so I feel like this might be a heavy push. Hopefully, not too far.
Mm.
But yeah, I think this is going to bring him to the table. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, go.
It's all right. Going along. So weapon trophies. Again, it's just a wording change. And the same with armor trophies. Although the armor trophies has added the caveat of you cannot expend vulnerable tokens on
Well,
this unit, which is nice. It's not only +1 to your defense rolls, but not being able to use vulnerable tokens on that unit is massive.
yeah, yeah. That's something we've seen quite a bit as well in this season 6
Yep.
update, because there's like protection of the crown does the same thing there. It stops you from spending those vulnerable tokens. So it's interesting now they're trying to
Yeah,
make
I think
defensive
motivated by
cards.
coin. Does motivated by coin do that as well? Nice. Yeah, there are three nice cards. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're really looking good. I think you're going to empty your hand quite quickly if you've got these.
yeah,
Um, it makes him into a very aggressive commander, which he was always supposed to be.
yeah. I think as well. I think there's a lot of synergy now within Rattleshirt himself and his cards, like using that order to punch out. Any unit can then do a card, and then you know you can put that card out just on the order, and then all of a sudden you start chaining these cards out again. As long as you've got them in your
Hmm.
hand, obviously. It's yeah, he's definitely using the cards quickly, which is really nice. Usable cards are what we want as a game base, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I've said to you in the past, anything that allows you to cycle through your deck or discard pile is good. The fact that Rattleshirt can do it now, um, you double that up with like Jon Snow, is you're really getting the cards you want out of your deck when you want them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So some nice change there for Rattleshirt. Next up, we have quite a large change. We have this new rule that is attached to Mag the Mighty. If you choose him as your commander, and if you do, and his point cost becomes 5, as it did before. But now, for each unspent extra attachment point, reduce Mag's point cost by 1. Now, there's been a bit of outrage around Mother Dragons because they're going to have the same problem of spending the attachment points. But this is, I think, quite a big thing now. We're talking that if you don't spend any of your 4 points of attachments that you get in the new army building rules for Song, you're going to be getting Mag for 1 point.
Yep,
Um, he seems to be yo-yoing quite a lot, because when he came out, obviously um, he was a lot cheaper. Then they made him more
it was 7, I
expensive.
think.
What's that?
Yeah, I think he might have been at 7 initially.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then they dropped it down to 5.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, him going down to 1 is like uh, madness.
yeah, yeah. I
I'm not
get
complaining too much.
no, 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 and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to say, right, okay, well, if you want to, because it's quite obvious that the way that Simon see free folk, they see them as this monster faction, as a faction identity, to be the guys that can take monsters and big gribblies and stuff, in much way same as like Beastmen were in Warhammer. But it's that sort of, they see them being all these beasts from the north coming down. So they're trying to say, if you're going to run that list, you can do it, and you can get you don't have to use infantry units because you're not going to be able to use those 4 points. So what we're going to do is we'll give you mag for a discount. I just think it's a bit odd they've done this for mag and not for Mother Dragons, but obviously Mother Dragons has got more options, got better infantry units, rather than running infantry units in a Mag the Mighty list that you can't use cards on. So maybe that's difference. Maybe that is a difference. But yeah,
It could be. Yeah, it could be the difference because Mag does an entirely new deck, whereas Mother of Dragons is it's the um, 8 cards she adds in, doesn't she?
yeah,
Yeah, because you take out extras from the target's deck.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think that could be the justification there. Um, I mean, it's hard to say really. I don't know how Mother Dragons was faring as far as rankings go compared
mm,
to Mag. Um, I mean, I've run Mag as a commander. It's great fun. I haven't I haven't won too many games with him. Um,
yeah,
but I mean, in isolation, excluding Mother Dragons, I think this is just a balancing thing so that the free folk player who wants to run a Magma Mighty list doesn't feel hard done by thinking, well, I'm playing 40 points into 44,
yeah,
and it just mitigates that.
yeah,
I hadn't considered Mother Dragons, to be fair.
yeah,
Um, I mean, if anyone wants to, play 44 points of Mother of Dragons against my Magma Mighty list, absolutely, you know, I'll give it a go. I'll test it. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But I mean, it's I get where it's coming from, but yeah, obviously this video is about the free throw changes, and I think free throw players have got a lot to be happy about when it comes to 1 point mag, right?
absolutely, absolutely. It's yeah, it means you can get 5 monsters in the list,
Hmm.
and cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, it just rewards people for running the running the faction in the way that that Simon, I think, game designers want them to be run, or certainly
Yeah,
giving you the option to be able to run a monster list and not be penalised for not spending those 4 points. Um, yeah, it's nice. I like it. Okay, cool.
cool.
So what I'd always do at the end of these is I ask my guest, and that is the last of the changes for free folk. I always ask my guest is that so outside of free folk, season 6 changes. What is one of the biggest wow moments for you that you obviously for me it was the fact that Mag went down at 1 point, but is there anything outside of the free folk faction that you're really excited about or really sort of couldn't believe happened at those sort of moments?
I mean, I've spoken to you about this, but uh, you could say it was too early to do anything about them. But the Brotherhood without banners, I was expecting more changes, but maybe the changes they've had and everyone else's changes
Yeah,
will balance everything out. And you know, we've talked about this in the past. Is they're a new faction, so I think once people get the hang of them, on how to play against them, that might balance things out again. I know they're very strong at the moment,
yeah,
so I was expecting more of a change, but we just have to trust that the guys that write the rules for this game are they're not deaf to it, and yeah, we'll see what happens and hope that balance comes into it. Beyond
yeah,
that, I'm excited to see what Martells have got going on,
yeah,
and Night's Watch as well. Some other factions that I play.
yeah,
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 but there's
yeah.
nothing really that has made me no oh wow moments beyond Mag, as you say.
Yeah, that's a big wow moment. But yeah, I think you're right, brother Black Banners. That they were never going to change them. I think this early on in their life cycle, I think they'll same as Martell's. Martell's came out, they were extremely powerful. I don't think they're as powerful as Brotherhood, um, but they gave it ample time to make some tweaks before they started um,
Yeah,
on on Martell's. And I think they'll do the same with Brotherhood. We see two
yeah,
changes. I think it was assault orders and another tactics card. I think it might be an ability change, but it's only two changes for Brotherhood. Um, cool. Okay, sweet. Oh, Steve. Well,
Yeah.
cheers for giving us some of your time, mate. I do appreciate you coming on the channel and talking to me about Free Folk. Obviously, Free Folk was your first faction, and you've been playing them well ever
Yep.
since. So yeah, it's nice to have a chat about what Free Folk do because I have absolutely no fucking idea.
Yep. Yeah. But you always seem to know how to play into them, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's just I just roll dice and just shout words and hope I win. It seems to work, so I carry on doing it.
It does. Yeah, it does regularly. Yeah. Sometimes I wish it wouldn't, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Cheers to everyone for checking the video out. If you do like the conversation we're having and the previous videos, please do like the video and share it among friends. It really helps our analytics to get it out a bit further if you guys are behind it as well. And if you're kind enough and lovely enough and grizzly enough, I guess, when it comes to free folk, that you want to support us a little bit more, please do subscribe to the channel. Again, it really does help the analytics. But for now, I'm going to say thank you very much. Cheers for your time, Steve, and we will catch you on the next one.
You're welcome. See you guys.